a few extra words from the sentence. Okay. I didn't realize it right away, but when I looked closer at the old woman at the end of the table, I realized that it was Lawrence Kincaid's mother. She was dressed in a red formal gown, and she had a pink corsage pinned on her left side. She smiled broadly and held a young girl's hand while people at the table made the toast. "I can't believe it," I said to Meg, who was clutching her ice-cold Bloody Mary in her tear-stained hands. "What?" said Meg when she reached into her purse. "It's Lawrence Kincaid's mother sitting at the end of that table," I said when I motioned towards the long, thin, candle-lit table next to the crowded bar. I decided to get up out of my cushioned chair and walk over to the lavish decorated table where the 12 were sitting, hoping Mrs. Kincaid would not recognize me. When she turned towards me, she looked startled, quickly put down her drink, and said in a strong and certain tone, "Lawrence will not be returning to his apartment." "Why not?" I asked curiously when a waiter walked between us. "He just won't be coming back," was all she said as she swallowed a large portion of her martini. On the street in front of the patio, a car suddenly slammed on its brakes as a stray dog walked to the other side of the street. A few pedestrians took notice of the dog and gave him some cookies that they pulled out of a small brown paper bag. The music coming from the bandstand continued to play familiar cover tunes from the 1970s. Meg continued to sip her Bloody Mary at our table while holding onto the scrunched-up ball of yellow panties in her purse. The drink had certainly seemed to numb her out to the harsh reality of Jake's office adventures with Becky. I gave Meg a hug and a kiss on the cheek and told her I needed to go home. Seeing Mrs. Kincaid and hearing Becky's tale had been enough to make me call it a night. When I pulled into the driveway, I noticed a new group of cardboard boxes, stacked very neatly in rows of 5 in front of Lawrence Kincaid's door. One of the boxes was leaning against the front door at an angle. It was a darker brown color than the other boxes, and its label was orange and diamond-shaped. The corner of another box looked like some animal had been chewing on it with its sharp teeth, since the cardboard was all shredded and concave in that corner. When I stood at my front door turning the key in the lock, I could hear the phone ringing in Lawrence Kincaid's apartment. It rang for a long time before his answering machine picked up. I could hear Lawrence Kincaid's familiar greeting coming from his machine. "So glad you called. Would you be so kind as to leave your name and the reason for your call? Thank you." There was a brief pause, and then a woman began to leave a message. "Lawrence, April is here, and she remembers you as a boy riding your bikes together along the Marne River. She recalls how confident you were, always taking risks and doing things that the other boys were afraid to do. April has been aching to see you again after all these years. She has the notebook containing your contacts and acquaintances from that time." Then there was an awkward-sounding stumbling noise and a loud dial tone.